Well, hello there. This is Virtual's Chess Noob learning and having fun with chess. I'm really pleased to show you this game of the Vienna Gambit declined with knight c3. Those of you who follow my channel will know the Vienna game and the Vienna Gambit is one of my favourite lines. Now this game was against a new friend, subscriber, a Mini Magnus 75 from Austria, and he tells me he's lived in Vienna for quite a long period of time in the past as well. And Mini Magnus is probably one of my coolest subscribers because not only does he love chess, we initially corresponded over the Chestnut Backer's Facebook page. He was interested in the Chestnut Go because he wanted to take a Chestnut on the go on his motorcycle. And which motorcycle does he own? Well, the Kawasaki the Z650 RS. And in fact, he convinced me to get one of my own. So we both own the same motorcycle, really love chess, want to play on the go, traveling with the motorcycle of chess. Really cool guy. Now, the first game we played, it was a daily game. I don't normally accept daily games outside of tournaments because I find them a little bit hard to play. I get so many requests. And he crushed me after I made a mistake. Really interesting game. It was a Black Knights Tango. I danced, I tripped, and I fell flat on my face. And you can see the game in the article that accompanies this video in the description. The second game was a rapid game. He was very gracious, happy to play a rapid game, even though he doesn't usually play 15 plus 10. Let's take a look. And I thought this game really shows the venom of the Vienna Gambit. And this was an opening that my subscriber, Mini Magnus, wasn't very familiar with. So I had the white pieces, and of course, Vienna Gambit starts with the Vienna game. E4, E5, knight C3. He played the fork beer, and of course, Vienna Gambit, F4. Now, one of the things with the Vienna Gambit is that it really is a very good opening, particularly when people aren't familiar with it. When you look at the Lead Chess Community database, in this position, white wins about 60% of the time, which is absolutely amazing on move 3. Now, in this position, my opponent, Mini Magnus, played quite a common response, which is a 2-knight. So knight c6, so declining the gambit with knight c6, playing the main line with d5 as best. And the thing here is that this is a really common response, particularly at a beginner intermediate level. In fact, this response is not uncommon even at the advanced level if your opponent is not familiar with the Vienna game and the Vienna Gambit. Now, because of the modern day with social media and the fact that the Vienna game and the Vienna Gambit has been promoted by a lot of chess YouTubers, I think anyone who is more advanced in chess will probably know the best response to the Vienna Gambit. However, historically, when people were not familiar with the Gambit, and this is the case when you're playing, maybe people who are beginners, where they're not very into chess, where they're not familiar with it, this is a very natural move. Because simply, whenever there's a two knights, whenever there's a E4, E5 or the double king's pawn opening, generally for black, playing the two knights response is good, but it's a mistake in this particular setup. We actually see this, the very first time this shows up is in the series of games played in 1866 between Steinitz and Bird. So Henry Bird was an Englishman, Steinitz was an Austrian, spent quite a lot of time in Vienna, so he was very, very familiar with the Vienna Gambit because that was the time when it was developed. Bird, Englishman, not familiar with it at all. And in that 1866 series of games, Bird in fact responded to this position, transposed from the Max Langer Vienna Gambit, with this knight. And Bird was probably one of the best players in the world in 1866. This is just a very natural response. And why is this the case? Well, as I said, the heuristic is developing 2 knights when you have a double king's pawn opening is usually good. But let's see what happens. After we takes, and bang, we've got d4, and white just ends up chasing black's knights, winning the center and winning a huge advantage in development. Knight can either go here or here. Doesn't make a big difference. You know, modern Stockfish thinks that knight to g6 might be a little bit better. They play knight this way, but now we've got e5 attacking the knight, and those of you who know the Vienna Gambit will know that there is no good place for the knight to go on the board. And in fact, in this position, the best move for the king's knight is undeveloping back to g8. And you can see, you know, white just wins a massive advantage in development. Now, this game was a prototypical Vienna Gambit game, because here we develop our other knight, massive advantage in development. They attempt to pin, very, very thematic. Here we ignore that. They can take that knight actually, it's fine. We develop our bishop. Stockfish reckons that d5 is best, but I think this is not really an inaccuracy. Well, maybe it's an inaccuracy, but it's very, very coherent because we're trying to attack black's f7 pawn, because after short castles with the rook, we've got 3 attackers, massive attack, and we make use of our advantage in development. The best move for black here is d5, but it looks difficult to play because it looks like you're straight up losing a pawn. However, that's really common, it's a mistake, and now with short castles, they try to pin the other way. Of course, that pin has now been lost. Whoops, pin the other way. This pin is lost, and this is a mistake. Here, really common move. Bishop sacrifice with check, capturing the f7 pawn, punching a hole. Notice that will fully open the f-file. We give a check. Brilliant move, because if king captures, now we can unpin that knight. We're not afraid of that because this is a double check. King has to move, and we straight up win the bishop, or with queen development, completely winning. Now, I was really impressed here because my opponent, so Mini Magnus, had a good think about the position and actually found the best response. In almost every game where I've had an analogous position, black has captured. The best move here for black is king to d7. And I've actually never faced this before. So I actually now spent about 2 minutes thinking about what move I should make. And I was sort of agonizing a little bit. I thought, you know, this seems to make sense, attacking the bishop because they can't move here. Takes, if they take my knight, I capture here. Nothing here, retreating the bishop looks like it's good. Or do I, you know, push my knight forward, moving it into the attack potentially, also winning potentially tempo on that bishop. Is that good? Looks like it may be okay. Or do I push d5 with the attack on the knight? So agonize over this. Now eventually I decided to play h3. And I was very gratified to see in the analysis that in fact all 3 moves are perfectly fine. So any of them are fine. I think this is a little bit more straightforward. This really sort of encourages black to capture the knight. So captures, and here we've got a very nice battery on the fully open f-file with the rook and queen. We're now on move 12, and here it's really difficult for black to find the best move. Best move is actually to move the king to c8, potentially hiding the king away so that the king can then go to b8. And king is relatively safe in that position, but the position is still pretty much completely lost. So here on sort of a lower depth Stockfish, it's they reckon about +4 or so, but I think this is actually around +5 at higher depth. In this position, my opponent, Mini Magnus, had a bit of a think. They tried to develop the knight, but that's a blunder. Very, very understandable move. Very difficult for black to play. Can you see the best move for white? Did you find it? Yep. So we want to take that diagonal, that forces the king. And so here we've got queen g4 with check. And in fact, here black opted to resign because you can see mate in 5. And the beauty here, and I'm pretty sure Mini Magnus actually calculated it out before resigning because they spent a little bit of time thinking before they hit resign, is that every move here by black is forced. Here, black has only one legal move, which is knight to block the check. Queen captures the knight once again with check, and here black has only one legal move, king to e7, and now queen with check. Once again, king has only a single legal move, king to f8. We move our bishop out of the way, defended, with check. Here, once again, single legal move, which is block with queen. We take with our rook, check, single legal move, take with pawn, and now everything's stripped away. Queen to f7 is mate. Good game, GG. The big takeaway from this game is to consider playing the Vienna game and the Vienna Gambit if you want to try some exciting chess. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.